All right, good evening, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progress in Action. You know, since Andrew Yang dropped out of the race and Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire, there's been a lot of disturbance in the force. There's been a lot of these Yang gangers, some of which are really, really good to go, should be brought into the fold. There's a lot of them out there that are libertarians that didn't have anything to do with Bernie Sanders, didn't want anything to do with Bernie Sanders, and still don't want anything to do with Bernie Sanders. And they're going for people like Bloomberg, of all people. They're going for right-wing folks that are austerians, people that are fanning the fears of deficits. They're laughing at people that understand economics. They're getting, all this nonsense. And it's not just there, it's everywhere. Over in the UK, we got to have to deal with Simon Wren Lewis, who's sitting there saying, hey, Labor needs to start worrying about the deficit. We have Mayor Pete, who just did it the other day. We have Donald Trump, who is literally sitting there and coming up with a way of trying to get rid of that little teeny window that public servants, people working in nonprofits, and people working in indigenous communities can write off or walk away from their student loans after 10 years, all in the name of saving money. Folks, this is such a big deal, and I say it so much, I'm getting angry. Now, I've got some good friends. Dr. Stephen Hale would be one of them, who is very gentle, very sweet and kind, very gentle with people who are literally killing people like myself, who don't have a lot of money, who are struggling. But he's out there doing God's work, trying to be gentle and sweet with them, to bring them along, to tell them. But here's the thing. He's assuming good intentions. He's assuming they're just ignorant. He's assuming that they just don't know any better. But I would offer up, I believe they do know better. I believe the evidence is clear, and I believe that it's been mounting forever. I believe that modern monetary theory has won this war, that we know it's the truth. There is no way to have a Green New Deal without understanding the way federal finance works. So if you guys thought you were going to skip the learning, well, you're going to skip the saving and the surviving thing too. Because without this, there is no that. It's that serious, folks. It's that serious. And as I watch these people run around, Michael Bloomberg doesn't want to raise minimum wage above $7 an hour. Guy's a racist pile of shit. Even John Iadarola of TYT saying, hey man, if he's the nominee, I'm going to vote for him. That is scary as fuck, because these austerians, these bad actors, this guy was stop and frisk, etc. These people are not your friends. They're not dealing in good faith. And when they start talking about deficit reduction, that's you and I surviving or not surviving. When they reduce deficits, they are literally sucking the life out of families who are struggling. And they're destroying the middle class, and they're retrenching wealth at the top. All of a sudden, wealth at the top has got it all going on. They got all the marbles. They get to make all the decisions. But see, MMT, the people that understand MMT, they recognize that in order to move forward, we got to render the rich irrelevant. The only way to do that is to teach you, we the people, how this stuff works, and get rid of these libertarian-minded bullshit artists that think we're still in a goddamn gold standard. Because if we don't move and move with extreme precision right now, give you an example. Put it in perspective. AOC was talking about how we may have to, as president, and this is true, president can't vote in Congress, so it's like they get the bill they're given. But in reality, they're already talking about they don't have the votes for it right now. Why don't they have the votes? Well, because we haven't explained we can afford this. And number two, There's people out there still fighting hard to protect the insurance companies. But in the end, it's all about a lack of understanding about fiscal space, all understanding about not understanding money, period. Money creation, how it comes to be, where it's spent, how it's spent. They don't understand. They think their tax dollars are being reused. And so this boring bullshit narrative is repeated ad nauseum. People running around laughing at people that do understand it. Ha ha ha. You said taxes don't fund spending or something like that. The dumb think they're right and they're running around like peacocks. But really what they do is they got a neon light flashing saying, I don't understand federal finance. I don't understand federal finance. That's what they're doing. And without our tribe, so to speak, without our people, without our kinfolk, without the people in the struggle, understanding that our federal government creates money every time it spends with keystrokes, and that deficits are just, if you look at one side of the ledger, our government, which creates the currency, is in deficit because it spent more money into the economy than it taxed. Well, if you look at the other side of the ledger, somebody else has more money. Well, right now, because bad people, and folks, let's be fair, they're not good people. They're bad people. Bad people have allowed the rich to win all the deficit money, so to speak. You see them blowing billions on the military-industrial complex. You talk about Medicare for all, we got to start equivocating. We don't have money for that sort of thing. And it's not just in the United States, it's in the UK. Look at Simon Wren Lewis. Anybody that sits there and tells you that this guy just innocently doesn't understand is lying. Or they're being Pollyanna. They're being just way, I don't know, like thin, wafer. This guy knows what he's doing. He is in the highest of places. And he's advising political speak about reducing deficits. That's right wing, the worst of right wing thinking. So let's look at this. Bloomberg wants to cut the deficit, wants to cut spending, wants to reduce wages. Klobuchar on record many times talking about cutting Social Security and literally freaking lowering the debt and reducing deficits. The same tired mantra that the right always uses. Same exact one. And it's not just because it's the right wing that does it. It's because it's the wrong thing. It's ignorant. It's not understanding federal finance. And it ends up being murder to some. But then you look at folks like Buttigieg. Buttigieg is out there actively, fist in the air, talking about deficit reduction and reducing spending. What kind of human being does that? He's not a progressive. He's not even a moderate. Dude is straight up a right-wing freaking Sig Heil Nazi. This is fascism, my friends, because they're trying to force us into debt. And I'm going to keep talking about this until you get it, because this election is too important. Our lives are in the balance while you sit there and pretend like we got to reduce the deficit. While these people, what is wrong with them that they keep advancing people like Amy Klobuchar? I have friends that should know better that are sitting there saying, well, Amy made a good point in the debate. Fuck Amy making a good point in the debate. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. Folks, they're not well-intentioned. This isn't a deficit of knowledge. This is straight out of the Third Way playbook. This is going back to the Powell memo. This is racism. This is all sorts of crazy shit wrapped up into one. This is them playing on your ignorance, thinking that the federal government is like your household budget. This is all these things, all these lies stacked on top of lies, stacked on top of more lies, stacked on top of more murderous lies. Why should we be kind to those that seek to kill us? Folks, there are people, rank and file people out there that don't understand this stuff. And to them, they've been lied to. They're victims. But these other folks, they do know. Some asshole came up to me the other day and said, "What's your credentials?" I've been through this so many times over the years. And I just, for a moment, I tried to pretend like he was actually asking the question. I knew better. I knew better. But I said, what the hell, I'll answer it. I said, "Well, sir, I've got a Master of Business Administration. I've got a Master of Science. I'm classically trained in economics, blah, 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 blah." "Well, you're not an economist. Why do you feel you should be listened to?" I said, "Well, I'm not sitting here saying that's my idea. I'm pointing back to the experts that do know this stuff. Stephanie Kelton, Warren Mosler, Bill Mitchell, Randy Ray, Pavlina Cherneva, Fadil Kaboub, Modern Money Network, Rowan Gray, Nathan Tankus, Raul Carrillo, Bob Hockett." I mean, the list is long. But if we're going to allow deficit reduction to come back into this election and beat us and knock us out of a Green New Deal, knock us out of Medicare for all, knock us out of all the progressive agenda, and it won't be because of the elected officials, because the rank and file don't understand and we're being told to handle them with kid gloves. Well, folks, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people that may not be around when the time comes for them to get it. And the lies keep coming so much that, with all due respect to the kind people out there that want to pretend like Simon Wren Lewis is on the up and up, he's just a conversation away. People are going to die while you're debating that, while they're trying to negotiate that friendly conversation. And this election in the United States, based on all that you know, all these quote-unquote moderates, from Elizabeth Warren on over across the board to every one of these schmucks, every one of them is an austerian. Every one of them doesn't understand federal finance. And only one has a legitimate economic team, in Stephanie Kelton over there with Bernie Sanders. It's no mistake that they're all trying to gang up on him. And these selfish unions out there in Vegas that are fighting back about Medicare for all right now, how utterly shameful and short-sighted. Again, it all comes down to austerity and greed. And it's time we put an end to it. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action. Have a great day.